Good evening and welcome to Top Growth. Joining me for tonight's segment is Kevin O'Brien. Kevin is a certified financial planner, an accredited investment fiduciary, a chartered advisor in philanthropy, and founder and president of Peak Financial Services, a wealth management firm specializing in retirement and estate planning for business owners and individuals. Over the past 30 years, he has helped hundreds of individuals and organizations reach their financial goals. Kevin is highly praised for his work in the financial services industry. He has been a featured speaker at numerous events, has been published in local and national news media, such as the Worcester Business Journal, the U.S. News and World Report, TheStreet.com, and he has written the foreword to The Art of Investing in Portfolio Management, a proven 6-step process to meet your financial goals. Kevin is on the Board of Governors for Tufts Medical Center, and he also served on several other nonprofit organizational boards and committees, most notably Reliant Medical Group Foundation, Central Mass Plan Giving Association, and the Worcester County Estate and Business Planning Council. Currently, he is a corporator for the Greater Worcester Community Foundation and the YWCA of Worcester. Today, though, we are here to talk about Kevin's new book, which just debuted, The Massachusetts Biotech Boom, an essential guide to keeping your wealth intact. This book brings you deep inside the Massachusetts life sciences industry with compelling and exclusive interviews with those leaders and founders at some of the highest profile companies in the biotech industry. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks, Deb.
So great to see you, first of all.
Thank you.
And we're just so delighted that you're here to join us today on the show, and we're so excited to hear about this new book that you've spent a lot of the last couple of years writing.
Just about 2 years, yeah, it's been great.
It's a long, wonderful journey in writing this book.
Definitely.
So tell us about the book. What made you decide right now, at this day and age, this time, to write this book? And tell us a little bit about what incentivized you to write it, why you thought of the idea, and how this all came about.
Sure. So back in the day, I went to Merrimack College, majored in finance and economics, and I've always been pretty fascinated with the economic transformations that's been taking place over the past 30 years here in Massachusetts. And, you know, one of my favorite courses back then was the history of economic thought, and it showed us the transformation from the old agrarian societies to the Industrial Revolution, and and then getting into the business back in the early 80s, financial services business. I was able to see the whole industry in Massachusetts go from this old manufacturing to a service economy. We had the high-tech industry come in here, and 128 was called the Massachusetts High-Tech Highway, I think, or Technology Highway.
Technology Highway.
Yeah, and that was fascinating to see. And as I started my business back then, I was able to work with a lot of the executives and middle managers within those companies, Digital, Data General, EMC, but slowly, as we got into the 90s, that high-tech business kind of dissipated a bit. We still have a pretty good stronghold here in Massachusetts, but as the internet came about, a lot of those startups have been out on the West Coast, and we lost a bit of that. However, as that was taking place, the fledgling biotech industry was starting to form. And by 1995, we saw that they had cloned a sheep, Dolly, over in Scotland, and things like that. I would watch companies like Biogen and Amgen and Genentech, and their stocks would go up, and then they'd come down, crashing down, and they would have certain therapeutics come to market, and they'd do well, and then they'd have certain therapeutics fail, and their stock would go down. So it was very volatile, very tenuous. But as time's gone on, and the thing that fascinates me the most about here in Massachusetts is just the skyline that's changed in Boston, the waterfront, Cambridge, Kendall Square, and Worcester as well, to see the old manufacturing buildings that were once boarded up in the late 70s, early 80s. They've been either rehabilitated and new laboratories have been built inside of them, or they've been raised and bright new shining buildings have come up, WPI and the Mass Pharmacy, College of Pharmacy. So academia is thriving. The breakthroughs. Just this last year, the IPOs and venture capital that's been poured into this industry is record-breaking. So there's been over $2 billion that has been put into biotech companies, which is immense.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
And so that industry, we in Massachusetts are one of the world's largest and most influential biotechnology life sciences hubs in the world. We had been the #1 hub from a dollars, economic impact, jobs, and just last year we just got inched out by this whole state of California. And when you think of California, the size.
Well, the size of California is, in comparison to Massachusetts,
just huge.
It's pretty remarkable that Massachusetts has been the #1, and hopefully we'll get it back.
Yes. And
hopefully we'll get it back.
Exactly. And I think when you look at a per capita basis, we still are #1.
Absolutely.
And so part of that, I'm proud, to be in Massachusetts. I was born and raised here, and to see, Boston and the areas just become like a world-class city and so influential, and the breakthroughs and the life-saving breakthroughs and life-altering drugs and therapeutics that have come about. MS is being
it's remarkable,
put in
the
its
cures that they are coming up with, and really transforming the world in so many ways with treatment and opportunities that were never available years and years ago. The brightest individuals that are really coming and working with these companies now. So we think about Worcester to Cambridge.
Yes.
So as you started to think about, okay, there's something really amazing happening here in Massachusetts, and you've witnessed the incredible growth, corporate growth, and then of course the IPOs that you mentioned, and the tremendous success both monetarily and then also with the impact on society.
Yes.
So why now? Why did you decide that this is the right time? This book definitely needs to get out there. And so why at this time did you decide to write this book?
Sure, yeah, great question. So as my business has matured over the past 30 years, and I've helped a lot of high-tech executives and middle managers and entrepreneurs. And now I have several biotech clients in that space. And I've seen the successes and I've seen the failures. It's still a very tenuous risk is paramount in there.
Yes.
So you've got a 90% failure rate on these therapeutics and drugs. So 10% of them make it to market. So I've had clients who have been in this industry for several years now, and I've seen, the wealth that can be created, and I've seen things just not come to fruition, and they be out of work within 24 hours of a failure from an FDA phase 1, 2, or 3 drug. And so I have also seen individuals go from these big successful pharmas and biotech companies into the startups, and I've seen how they've successfully done that. There's people who they have done well personally to have a nice solid financial foundation, and then they can take kind of that leap of faith into a startup and know if it doesn't take off and does fail, as most of them do, that they're going to be okay. They can still, take care of their family. They can still secure their lifestyle that they want to enjoy. And then I've seen the entrepreneurs, start out and get some traction going, and then all of a sudden the phase 3 fails, and then the company is out of business. But they've raised an immense amount of money. There's hope. There's excitement around it, and then all of a sudden, boom. But the interesting thing about that industry is that failure is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you're done. You know, so I see these people transform their careers. Okay, they didn't have the success with maybe a therapeutic or something, but they learned a tremendous amount. You know, they learned how to network and raise money and bring a company public and create, you know, something of value that, okay, it didn't make it, but now they can take that knowledge and that experience and that expertise that they garnered through that and bring it to other companies because it's such a burgeoning industry still to this day, you know, and they land on their feet and they go to another level and they create and help other companies go public or get bought. So it's exciting. It's just amazing to witness it. One of the main things I want to help people do is understand the opportunities that exist from an entrepreneurial standpoint as well as like an executive level standpoint or just a career path. The opportunities are pretty immense, but the risks that are inherent in it are quite obvious and apparent. And a lot of these people, these individuals, men and women, who are incentivized through equity compensation. A lot of it is equity-based. It could be stock options or restricted stock, deferred comp. So helping those people maximize the use of those benefits, but also make sure that they manage the risks of them and, you know, basically take some chips off the table occasionally. And so in the book, I focus on a concept called human capital. And human capital is how we derive our economic benefits, our potential wealth, or how we can create an economic value for ourselves, our family, and those around us. So that human capital, we need to factor that in as we help people manage their personal finances. So in the biotech space, that human capital is very equity-based. It's very stock-like. So when they're investing, you know, whether it be in their 401ks or the 529s for their kids, whatever it might be, as they accumulate their own personal wealth, they should probably be a little more conservative, right? Because where they're deriving that wealth from is very tenuous and very risk-based. As opposed to maybe like a municipal government employee, it's like a bond, you know, where they're deriving their human capital from is steady, predictable. They might have a pension, so they could afford to invest more aggressively.
So in the book, you interviewed some really amazing individuals who pioneered the industry on a national level, if not global.
Yes.
Could you share with our viewers who some of those people were?
Yes. And
some of those, and the reason why you chose them?
Okay. So the most prominent interviewee was Wally Gilbert, a co-founder of Biogen. And he's 80-something years old today, and so he has so much experience. He co-founded Biogen in the early 80s, and just prior to that, in 1980, he won the Nobel Prize in biology for DNA, recombinant DNA splicing. So right at a pioneer is probably the best word you can say. So to be able to sit down with Wally, talk to him for 3 hours and understand, you know, what incentivized him as a child even to get into this. He was so, you know, gracious with his time and open and forward. And so some of the things that we have in that book are pretty captivating, as well as, you know, full of wisdom as well.
Wisdom for the people that are currently in the industry, looking to get into the industry, and for so many of those entrepreneurs, and you see this all the time, where they might rent a lab space, and they're really hoping to get their business off the ground, and they're looking for investors, and they're trying to put together presentations to get the investors and continue on with their work. And so they read even just that piece on Wally Gilbert, your interview with Wally Gilbert. That alone inspires them to stick with it. Don't worry, just keep doing what you're doing, get to the next level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 So those people that you mentioned, the people in the
Yes.
labs, the
Yes.
incubators,
It's so prevalent now.
isn't it incredible?
It's amazing.
And
Yeah.
there, as I've been able to find out more about this industry,
Mm-hmm.
interview some of them, I'm so impressed. They're almost kind of like my heroes because they defer their ability, to create their wealth sometimes 10 years. It takes
Absolutely.
about 5 to 10 years and then there's only a 10% probability of success.
Exactly.
And they're willing to go that extra mile, forego the short-term compensation for that longer-term potential benefit.
Right.
That could be groundbreaking, could impact a tremendous amount of people in a certain population that are afflicted with a certain disease.
Yes.
So there's a lot of altruism behind it, benevolence, risk-taking,
Yeah.
and hopefully, the potential reward. And I'm sure we'll talk about the pricing and things like that, because there is
Right.
controversy around it too.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to, dispel a bit of that, because I believe, a lot of these people have just a good-hearted intention of trying to find something for a cure for a lot of people.
Tell us a little bit more about the interviews. Who else would be someone that we might recognize that you've interviewed in the book?
Yeah, so locally here
Yes.
in Worcester, Dennis Gilbert,
Okay.
a friend of mine. He started a company, it's now called Biomere. And Dennis came out of UMass Medical School. That company was lifted out of there. In the book we talk about how he went about funding it. And Dennis is a great guy, good sense of humor, very intelligent, but he calls it his DFFs, and that's doctors, friends, family, and fools. But he's done extremely well. His company competes with the likes of Charles River Laboratories, and so big, solid company, but he's able to carve out a niche of his own in that space, and has done extremely well.
That's great.
And so we showcase Dennis in there. And another gentleman that people might be aware of is David Eason, a friend and neighbor of mine, who started a company called Alpha Beta and took it public, and it was very promising. And it was out as a publicly traded company, and then it failed. But David did not. David has rebounded. He currently is with a company called Indigo Agriculture, and they're what's considered a unicorn, private company unicorn, which is it's valued at over $1 billion today before they've even gone public.
Yeah, so it really is a great book as well on resiliency. So you're
Absolutely.
really highlighting the explosive growth here in Massachusetts in the biotech industry and life sciences, and then taking people on these really compelling journeys that so many of these pioneers and local and regional entrepreneurs have had, the ups and downs, and then just teaching lessons in adversity and also perhaps hindsight based on their experiences. So as we all read them, regardless of whether we're in the life sciences industry or not, it really helps to instill that sense of, okay, you have a great idea or a great concept, and if it goes great, these are all the wonderful things that can happen. But so often, more than not, there are things that don't go so well, and it's how you respond to them and how you learn from them that you can really grow and get your business and yourself individually to the next level through that pain.
Exactly,
Yeah, it's really fascinating. Now, so tell us more about your company, Peak. You have been around for 30 years now. You have an outstanding reputation. The businesses get old. None of the entrepreneurs do, right? if we can keep telling ourselves that, we'll all be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But you just, so you have this outstanding reputation.
Thank you.
And so share with our viewers a little bit more about what you do and, and perhaps maybe some interesting concepts you can leave them with that
Sure.
as they think about the new year and think about their plans for success, whether it's in their own businesses or in their personal lives, that
Yeah,
you might
absolutely.
be able to share with them.
So, I'll tell you a little bit about what motivated me to get into the
Oh, I
business.
would love to hear
So,
that. Yeah.
growing up in Clinton,
Yeah.
Massachusetts, my dad was an accountant at a company called Colonial Press.
Mm-hmm.
He worked there for 28 years, 2 years, and he was a company guy, work hard, play hard
Yeah.
a bit too. And he would be in there every quarter on weekends, doing the accounting thing and closing the books and whatnot. And I saw 2 years prior to his retirement, this was back in the 70s, and before the ERISA laws that protect people's retirement plans, that company got bought. And the company that bought them looked at the retirement plan as an asset on the books, and they took his retirement plan along with 650 other people's retirement plan. It was pretty prevalent back in the early 70s. And after that, the ERISA laws came about to protect people from that happening. But I saw it was life-changing. It totally altered my dad's life, and I saw
Absolutely.
that happen. And so another event that was pretty profound to me was seeing my Aunt Kate, who worked for the government, the federal government, her whole life, and had a pension and savings and things. Never got married, never had kids, so was able to save some money. And so she wanted to buy my parents a cottage up in like Rye Beach or Gloucester area because they used to rent. And no, Aunt Kate, you worked hard all your life, you enjoy your money. Well, she was about 77, 78 at the time, and shortly, within a year or two after that, she had a stroke. And she ended up in a nursing home. And basically the nursing home got her money.
Oh, my.
And so I witnessed these two major events in my life. And as I went on to college and thought about I was going to become a stockbroker on Wall Street or something like that, but I took a course called risk management, and it was taught by a former financial advisor who worked at American Express Company. And he showed us the 6-step process that I adhere to this day, and how it looks at the bigger picture for people. And it showed me how I could help people avoid those terrible events that I witnessed. And those are the motivating factors that I think got me into this. I knew that was something I could bring back to this area because, people work hard. They work too hard to see their money just dissipate. And if I can, have a little bit of an impact on that, it's so rewarding. And I've been able to do that. I've seen, New England Electric downsized over the years, Digital downsized over the years, and these people would come in with their retirement plans or their early retirement offers with, stacks of legalese like this. And we were able to make them make sense of it and understand that they were going to be okay. And it's been fun and rewarding. I could see those people leave with more confidence and peace of mind.
Well, and to have that personal interest in helping people based on your own experiences in life really is, it's a wonderful story to also, share with your own clients, because you really care about making a difference. And I think when you care about your work, and you love what you do, but there's a reason behind it that has meaning, it really drives everything to a higher level every day, because you're an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And some days are better than others. And when you have a motivating factor behind it that's so deeply meaningful to you, it can carry you through those days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding to see the people do well and, get the kids through school, buy a second home,
Right.
have enough money to give away to
To be
good causes,
philanthropic.
impact investing. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it keeps evolving. The whole industry, there's a whole concept of ESG, which used to be called socially responsible investing, is now environmentally sustainable, and corporate governance factors that go into picking companies that are doing right by people.
Yes, which is really terrific.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of our younger workforce really loves that about certain companies. Just
Yes.
really getting involved in a more humanitarian way and giving back to the community. It's a huge core value that a lot of our younger workforce generation are looking towards.
Yes.
So let's get back to the book before
Sorry.
we close. No, I want to get back to the book, and,
Okay.
and that was really great. But so anyone should and could buy this book, because it's going to make a difference in even just the compelling interviews and stories about some of these fascinating
Yes.
individuals that you have interviewed.
Yep.
So it's not just everyone in the life sciences world should read this book. They should.
Yep.
But it also opens a door to anyone who's an entrepreneur, anyone who is interested in this subject.
Absolutely.
And even young kids, I mean, who are looking to learn experiences and resiliency and
Yep.
Getting back on their feet.
Yep, and come to Massachusetts to
And
do it, you know, because it's a
exactly.
great place to live and work.
Yes.
But yes, included in the book is very high-level advanced concepts to help people through tax mitigation, risk management. A lot, as I mentioned, a lot of these people are compensated through the stock and
Yes.
equity in their own company. So they end up having this concentrated stock position that can be volatile or quite risky. So helping them manage the risks of that, helping them unwind it tax efficiently and cost effectively, and helping them complement their personal financial well-being and attain the things that they're working hard for. And so a lot of these people that I interviewed are working with either me or other advisors. And the importance of that is that it gives them a better work-life balance.
Absolutely.
You know, because I believe health is wealth.
You absolutely
right?
must make sure that you are balancing everything. 'Cause
Yes.
You're not going to be good the next day if you don't
Exactly.
rest well, treat yourself well.
Yep. So I think we're able to take a component of their life and complement it well and take some of the burden of that responsibility off of them, but help them make good, well-informed, educated decisions around it so that they, when they're at home, they can focus on being at home and with their family. When they're working, they're focused on their work and being as
Right.
productive as they possibly can, and they have hopefully have the peace of mind and confidence to know that what they're working hard for is being kept intact, keeping
Yes.
their wealth intact, and accomplishing the good things that they want to do overall.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to encourage our viewers to go and purchase this book. We have the website where you can learn more about this book on your screens. And to go to the website, purchase the book, read the book, enjoy it, and remember that the Massachusetts biotech boom is a huge industry, and Kevin O'Brien has illuminated it in this great book with these compelling interviews, and the best is yet to come. And I'm sure that right after this book is well read and you've sold your millions of copies, we're going to have the sequel to how this industry is outdoing even California with its population. So,
That would be
so thank
awesome.
you for joining us, and it was
Welcome.
just such a pleasure
Thank
as
you, Deb.
always.
Thanks for
Thank you
having me.
very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
So now we basically just sit and we talk.
Okay.